Adobe Firefly have dropped some new updates that are really useful. Now I want to get into these and give you an actual walkthrough and so show you some real life examples. We've got a couple in image editing and we've got a couple in the video editor. I've also added in here a bonus one at the end that I think you're going to be quite excited about. But this video is sponsored by Adobe Firefly. Let's get into it and give you a look over these new features inside of Adobe Firefly. Now the first one I want to show you is Precision Flow. Now the best way I can describe this is that it's going to give you the option to choose the amount of edit without having to rewrite your prompts each time. Let me show you. We've opened up Precision Flow here under the image editing option, and if you've not seen how to get to this, I'll put a link to a video on how you can get to this down below in the description. But we've loaded in here an image that I've just taken of these tractors, and we can choose now, we've got these three options. We can choose to edit the entire image. We can select a particular region of the image. You can see as I hover over, it's automatically going to select particular regions of the image depending on how that image is made up. Or we can actually choose to brush on certain part of the image, and we can change the brush size so we can get a little bit more detailed in there if we wanted to. Now for this example, I'm going to use the entire image and I'm going to type in the prompt here, change the scene to make it look like it's snowing. Now on here we've then got another option. We can choose to edit the strength that we're going to have between each image that it's generating. So I like to start off with kind of like a 0.1 image, because the steps between, it's kind of like the amount of change between each of the steps, if you like. So if you choose 1, that's going to be quite a difference between each of the steps. If you choose 0.1, there's going to be a little bit less of a change. Let me do 0.1 first to show you what this looks like. And there we go. We've now got a scene that looks like where it's actually snowing in the field. You can see these tractors look very similar. And we've got this slider now, so we can actually jump back down to the original image, and this is where Precision Flow is going to be able to kind of like help you choose the amount of actual change you want to have to your image, if you like. So you can see here as we step up, you can see it's added a little bit of snow in there, added a little bit more. We can see each of these steps is actually adding that snow in there into eventually one where it looks like it's been snowing an awful lot. So we've got from a very summery day to a very wintry day. It's added in there snow over the top. You can see it's added in all of those snowflakes. It's kept the same tree line in there, and it's kind of like changed it from the tree line. You can see that it actually changes all of the colors in there, and it changes the sky colors from a nice sunny day to a kind of like a wintry, blown out kind of like snowy day on there. And then if we choose to, we can then just click apply. On this example for now, I'm going to click cancel, because what I want to show you is what it looks like when we change the strength all the way up to 1. Now you can choose something in between, but we're going to choose this from 0.1 was on that example, and now we're going to click generate on the image strength of 1. Now we can see here that the amount of actual change that has now been applied is quite high. It doesn't look anything like the original scene, but it's kind of like used it on the basis we've got 2 vehicles in there, they're in a field, we've got a tree line, and it's kind of like kept those proportions, but the amount of change and the amount of effect that we've got on there is quite a difference. And again, we can come back and we can step this back down to our original image. We can see here as we change between each of these, the amount of change is quite significant. So we've got our original tree line here. You can see it starts changing the tree line, adding a little bit of snow. Again, it's changing these tractors from what look like tractors. It starts changing the color on these, and it starts changing them from looking like tractors, in my opinion, to what then look like some trucks. And that is just the amount of strength that we're applying, about the amount of effect that we want to actually apply to the image. We've still got a very snowy scene. We've still gone from a very snowy scene, or we've gone from a very summery scene to a very snowy scene, but it's applied a lot more change, if you like, to the actual image in there. And that's kind of like the way precision flow works, if we don't want much change, we kind of go more towards the 0.1 end, and that'll keep the scene looking more like the original as we saw in the first example. And then when we go more towards the 1 side, that's going to be more change and kind of like allow it to kind of like go a little bit more creative, if you like, into what it's interpreting and what it's changing it into. But it's kind of like kept the kind of same layout. As I say, we've got 2 vehicles in a field with a tree line, and it's got that sky there as well where it's changed it all. But that's precision flow inside of Adobe Firefly. Now the next item I want to show you is Markup. Now we've had a little bit of a look at this beforehand, but this is a little bit of an update that I want to show you here. We can now choose the region. Okay, so this is a little bit different because you'd actually draw on the region that you want to change, and then you can describe what it is that you want to change in that region. We're going to just click on the bin there. We can brush on the item or on the area that we want to apply the change to, or we can, again, now we've got this annotation option. So we're going to click on the tractors here. I'm going to say change this tractor to blue. And we can see as we type in blue, we can now start seeing the actual color. If I change that to red, you can see we've actually got the shade of red that we want to, or that we can choose from. We can also choose this first item here, and we can choose a totally different red if we wanted to, or we can choose one of them. If we want to change that, then we've clicked on the wrong one, we want a different one, we just click on this hex code here, and we can now choose a different one on there. Let's go with this one here. We're going to change that one, and then I want to change this tractor blue. Okay, and again we've got different blues that we can come up. I'm going to select this really kind of like rich blue on here, and then say I want to change the sky. Change the sky to orange. Okay, and we can now choose the shade of orange. So let's say we want to kind of like make it look a little bit more kind of like an evening, kind of like sunset, or like an orange sky. We don't need to type anything in here into our edits. We can see here we've got 3 annotations, and we can choose to, you know, change those if we wanted to. We can go into them, or we can press on the trash can here and then bin one of those off if we wanted to. Now we do have a couple of options when it comes to partner models. We've got Nano Banana 2 or Nano Banana Pro. I like to go with Nano Banana 2. Now we don't have to describe anything in the edits because those are on the annotations. We're just going to click on generate and see what that comes back with. And then after a few minutes, we can see now that this has actually changed the image for us. We've changed the tractors to be on the different colours here. We've got this one's the blue one and this one's the red one. I'm sure I did those the opposite way around. I'll have to go back and check the recording on that one. But we can see here, we've got those on here, and it's actually changed the colour of the tractor on there as we zoom in. And we've also changed the colour of the sky. We can also choose to brush on there, or we could choose the region. So I could have chosen kind of like, say, this like this, and chosen to change the colour of the tractor to a different colour there, or I could have, you know, chosen to brush over it and add the annotation in there. But that's adding annotation changes to your images inside of Adobe Firefly. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what you think about these image editing options inside of Adobe Firefly. So before we get into the video updates, I would like you to pause the video and let me know down in the comments what you think about these 2 image editing options and if they are something that you would try. But let's get into the video editing changes. Now the next update inside of Adobe Firefly that I want to show you is inside of the editing a video option, or the video editor inside of Adobe Firefly. Now we've got an element, or we've got a video selected here. We're going to come up to the control option here, or to the properties tab, and we open up the properties tab, and we can now see under enhanced audio, we used to just have like one option and it was between 0 and 90%. But now we've got full control over the audio inside of that video. We can change the level of music. So if you're out somewhere vlogging and there's kind of like copyrighted music that you want to mute in the background, you can come in here and reduce that down to 0 so you don't get any issues with copyrighted music. We've also got sound effect and noise and speech enhancement. So you've now got a more precise control over your audio inside of the Adobe Firefly Video Editor. This is amazing, seeing how Adobe are bringing in different elements from other programs into this Firefly Video Editor. It's blown my mind, because it's really easy to use this video editor as well inside of Adobe Firefly. Now we do have one more change in here, and that is the color options. Now we've looked at these briefly in a previous video, but we've got a couple of different color options. So we're just going to select our image. We're going to select on this little color palette at the side here, and we've got these presets or looks that we can apply to these, and we can change the amount of those that we want to have on there. We can kind of like, if we chose not to have one, we'd click on the reset option up here. If we wanted to see what it was like beforehand, we can hover over the show original option here. And we've also got those controls over here under the color adjustments. And also, if you wanted to apply a look but then change it slightly, and you can see I'm losing my voice right now, but if you wanted to change it slightly, you can change, say, like drop down the shadows a little bit more or increase the exposure on a particular look. You can come in here and edit those options in here, and again, if you wanted to, you can click on reset. But that's a couple of updates inside of the Adobe Firefly editor. Now there is one more update that I want to show you, and that is we can now access Kling 3.0 inside of Adobe Firefly. Now in order to access Kling 3.0, we're going to come over to generate video, and we're going to see from the model options down here, we now have Kling 3.0 and Kling 3.0 Omni. Now I'm losing my voice here at the moment. I want you to go away and have a play about with these, but we can see on here now we've got 1080p, but we can also now go all the way up to 15 seconds of duration. We've also got this option available inside of Firefly boards. We can see here, if we click on an image, we click on generate a video, we can see here from the model selection down here, we've got the option to choose these Kling models 3.0 or Kling 3 Omni. I'm losing my voice for some crazy reason. I want you to go away, have a play about with these, and then let me know what you think about them down in the comments, because I'm all out of voice today. Really sorry about that, but I would love to know what you think about these updates down in the comments, and if you've got any questions, drop them down there as well. And until next time, thank you very much, and bye for now.